To use the PDM Companies module, we simply have to select a location like Northampton, an industry SIC code. I'm going to use 68100, which is buying and selling of your own real estate, and I'm going to choose the last 30 days. The system has now generated 25 results, which are property companies from Northampton that have launched within the last 30 days. We can also use a custom date search, so we could go back to say 2020 and hit search for a larger time frame. And we've generated 854 results. We can use a quick button, so if we only wanted to search dissolved companies or we only wanted to search property owners, we can use one of these quick buttons. It will take slightly longer to search, but as you can see, we've generated 310 results. If we wanted to generate all results as an advanced report, we need to make sure that it's less than 950 results. If it's more than 950, just split your report into 2 date ranges. Now, if we select advanced report, we can call this one Northampton 68100 2020 to 2026 generate report. This will take anywhere from 5 to 25 minutes to generate this report. Once you've opened up your advanced report, you can use some quick filters like show me companies with mortgages or show me cash buyers, or just underneath that, you'll see the full list of advanced filters. Now, these you'll be able to include or exclude information. So I could say show me companies with at least one mortgage, and you'll see that that's narrowed it down to 496. Or I could say show me companies I want to exclude with at least one mortgage, but maybe are property owners, and that's going to produce me a list of cash buyers. I could say show me serious buyers, so maybe people with more than 10 mortgages, and that drops it down to 30. Or I could find people with potentially motivated to sell, because using public data, they may be in a financial tight spot. So show me people with at least one mortgage, with overdue accounts and overdue confirmation statements. That's narrowed it down to 10. And I could maybe even look at people with an active proposal to strike off, and that's narrowed it down to 9. These are companies I'd probably contact as they're likely going to be motivated sellers. I could also just identify a company with filing issues. So if I was using it from a property accounting point of view, I could say show me people with overdue with at least one mortgage, exclude people with overdue accounts, but still include people with an overdue confirmation statement. And I found 16 property companies there that I could potentially fix a filing issue for. So there's lots of things you can do with the advanced filters, and it's really, really good to segment serious buyers, people with filing issues, and identify motivated sellers. Now that we've opened up a company record, in this case AMBS Investments Limited, we can start to see some key information like their accounts are in good order, their confirmation statement has been filed, they've not filed for liquidation. We can see that there's 2 directors here. We can see that they have a linked business that we managed to obtain a telephone number for. If we click on the little linked business icon here, it will show you their trading company. And that is just one lead, one inroad, how you may be able to get in contact with this director. We can see that they've got a mortgage on this property here. On their declared owned properties, we've got the same address and some information about their finances as well. So current net assets at £5,924. We can see some key movements here and a little bit more about their previous years and current years financial statements. So if we come down to the director's details here, as well as a telephone number to their linked companies, we've also got 3 options, 3 types of searches that we could do for LinkedIn. If we do a default and select the little icon underneath the director's name, we've managed to find a similar matching name. And we can actually see that they're the operation officer at Raj Kettering, which we know is a linked business, so we know that this is the profile. If it was a much more common name in a much larger area like John Smith in London, then what we might want to do is use an advanced search, which then takes the name and location into account. Now this is interesting because it's not found any details for this director now, even when using an advanced search, because this may just be a care of address of their accountant and may not actually be their declared address on LinkedIn. So if we now use AI, what AI will do is look between all the linked companies, it will look for industry links, and it will try and come up with its best guess at the profile that it thinks is linked to this company. And as you can see, it came to the same conclusion we did, that it is an exact name match and it is the Chief Operations Officer at the director's linked company. So now we can connect him with this director, we can drop them a message and introduce ourselves or our products and services. To use PDM courts, we can either enter in a case name or we could build a list of types of cases. So if we look at private rent repossessions, we've also got mortgage repossessions, online claims for possession, and also divorce. If we go for private rent and we search for limited companies only, we search for the last 30 days, as we can see, we now got 465 results. We can also enter in a court location to narrow it down by area. Let's open up this first one here, which we can see is a possession, private possession for rent, and it is being held on the 4th of February, which is today. So let's open up this record here. And this is for Breakspear House, which are other letting and operating of own real estate. So if we scroll down here, we have the two directors here, which we can contact, and we can see that they've got two properties. They're based in Ipswich, and the properties are in Tetbury, which is one's on the East Coast, one's on the West Coast. So, and they've not actually been operating that long. So it may be now that if they are purchasing property to let out their own property, this would be an ideal one for a lettings agent to make contact with, or possibly someone offering a rent-to-rent agreement where they're not going to be faced with handling their own court evictions in the future. PDM Probate is, again, just a postcode search. So if we type in NN3 8SH, coupled with a radius, the number of results that we want, and the time frame where we want to go back to, and hit search, it's going to compile a list of all of the probate notices within 10 miles of NN3 8SH, and it will work in reverse date order. So today is the 4th. This probate notice was from the 3rd. If we go into this notice, it's just going to compile some information here, and what we can actually do is we can look at things like the EPC status. We can see the actual address and the executors dealing with it. We can also cross-reference that with PDM properties, and as we can see here, we know that this one was an owner-occupied address. PDM contracts is another really simple keyword-based tool. So if we are looking for accommodation contracts in Birmingham in the last 3 months, now we can look at open contract if we're confident that we can fill much larger contracts directly with the council, or we could look at awarded contracts if we're operating on a smaller basis and want to find out which main contractors have won these contracts that we can then contact about our properties or the properties we're able to source. So let's open up this one here. This is an awarded contract, and it was for temporary accommodation within the private sector and private registered providers of social housing. Now, the people who won this are Second City Housing Limited, KPJ Property Services, and Southview Property Services. Now, if we was confident that we could provide very large volumes of accommodation, then we could look for open contracts and not awarded, and we could contact the councils and tender for it ourselves. But if we've got a smaller number of properties or are able to source a smaller number of properties, then we'd certainly be wanting to make contact with the main contractors who won the contract and let them know what types of accommodation we can provide. To use PDM plannings, all we need to do is enter in a postcode like NN39AG, a time frame, we're going to go with 6 months, and a radius, we're going to go with 10 miles, and select search. And as you can see, it's returned 100 planning results. We can filter these by status, by postcode, or keyword. I'm going to use the keyword HMO, and change of use C3 to a 7 occupant HMO, change of use of dwellings to HMO for 5 persons. Let's select this one here. This one's still undecided. And as you can see, we've got the property address and we've also got the applicant's address here as well. So using PDM companies, we can put in the applicant's postcode. We can see at 941 is Bromo Properties. So if we load up the Bromo Properties records, we can see that they've got 2 mortgages on properties and they are both in the NN area. So even though this company is based in Dagenham, we're pretty confident that this is the company because they're already buying in that area. So if I was a lettings agent, I could see that this company is growing in this area. I'd certainly want to be contacting them. If I was a deal sourcer that could find these sort of properties, I would certainly be contacting them with potential purchase opportunities. To use PDM properties, you've got 2 options. You can have a property search or an area search. Let's start with the property search, and we're going to use the postcode PE253HP. It will then bring up a list of properties from the drop-down that we could go into, and it will give us information about the area like crime statistics. It will give us information about what EPC upgrades may need to be taken to get it to a C. It will just give us a whole host of information about the actual property and the area. We can also use PDM area search. So let's use that same postcode, PE253HP, and click search. Now we've got some additional filters that we can use. Maybe we're only interested in flats. Maybe we're only interested in properties that are an E, F, or G. Maybe we're only interested in properties that are in the private rental sector. And maybe we're only interested in ones that have electric supply only. So electric storage heaters, electric room heaters, room heaters electric, or no heating system, but still electric assumed. So these are the properties that may be ideal for the upcoming Warmer Homes upgrade scheme, which I think there's about £13 billion been set aside for. So maybe you're looking to acquire properties where you know there's a good chance you're going to get some funding to help upgrade them, providing the tenant qualifies, etc. So if you wanted to target properties like that, you can absolutely do that with PDM properties. PDM Businesses is a really simple module to use. Maybe you want to have a campaign where you're contacting all of the lettings agents, estate agents in your area, and or possibly developers, and you want to do it in a GDPR compliant way where you've got an option to mark them as do not contact in the future and save them to CRM so you can keep track of which ones you have and haven't contacted. So the 2 types of searches we offer is default and advanced. Default simply pulls the basic information. Advanced will also include things like social media, pages and email addresses if we're able to locate one. So the way that would work is we would type in lettings agent, a postcode, NN39AG, within 10 miles, and click search. This is just the standard default search. And as you can see, we've generated a list of businesses here. We've got their website, we've got their telephone number, we've put in some examples where we've saved them to CRM, so we know that we've contacted them before. We've got ones that haven't been saved to CRM, so maybe they've launched since the last time we targeted this area, and the ones that we've marked in red to give an example of ones that have requested we do not contact them again in the future. If we wanted to increase the radius or search for more within this radius, we just simply hit load more. The next type of search that we can do, if we repeat this, so if we go for lettings agents, and we're going to use this NN39AG within 10 miles, and this time we're going to use an advanced search. This will take slightly longer because it's actually going to see if it can generate additional information, as mentioned, like social media pages and email addresses as well. So now this search result has managed to pull in a lot of businesses, but with additional data. So these little icons here like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, as well as these purple icons are email addresses. So if you wanted to do a contact form campaign, you can just open up the websites and submit contact us submission forms, or you could individually click and send them emails, or you could download them to a CSV file and send out bulk emails if you have a mailing platform, or you could save the whole all of these to a CRM to keep track of which ones you have and haven't contacted. To use PDM recommend, which is great for the trades, by the way. So if there's trades using our platform to get in contact with developers, landlords, building projects, that's really good. But PDM recommend searches social media for people looking for your service. So if we type in electrician, Northampton, and let's go with recent posts and click search, you'll see posts for people looking for your service, like, can anyone recommend a decent, honest electrician? Anyone recommend an electrician to install 3-phase forklift charging points? And it works with a multitude of trades. So if we try plumber in Coventry, stick to recent posts and click search, it will do the same. It will build a list of people looking for your service in and around the location that you've set.